So today we're going to talk about the Hounskull. So we are talking about a steel helmet which was worn in Europe, medieval Europe, during the 14th century. Almost invariably by knights, but also by men-at-arms occasionally. It was a helmet which offered extensive protection to the wearer's head, and it has remained a symbol of the 14th century chivalry. To be more precise with the dates, we're talking about the early 14th century to approximately 1420 AD. Now, the reason why this is often called Hounskull is because its shape resembles the face of a hound, with its muzzle over here. Hounskull is the name that most historians prefer. Victorian historians normally prefer to call it pig-faced, although that word, that expression, was not really used in the Middle Ages. Now, why was this implemented? Two reasons. One, it grants better protection, particularly against projectiles, and second, it gives better ventilation. In fact, there were even versions which had bigger holes over here to grant even more ventilation. And these two reasons were actually the main reasons why the great helm was abandoned. And in the 14th century, knights and men-at-arms started wearing these. As I mentioned, one, better against projectiles, because you see, the great helm had already been abandoned towards the end of the 13th century, and in favor of the bassinet. But what the bassinet basically was, it was this. So this helm without its visor. But the bassinet left the face of the wearer in danger of arrows, of being hit by arrows. And in fact, that was one of the main problems during the 100 Years' War fought against England and France because of the English longbowmen. Hence, the development of a visor. The visor protects completely the wearer's, the fighter's, the warrior's face, but it could easily be lifted up or lowered at will, as you can see. The open-faced bassinet, even with the male aventail, still left the exposed face vulnerable. However, from about 1330, the bassinet was often worn with a face guard or movable visor, which gave it its name. The shape of the bassinet actually changed over time. From the end of the 14th century to the beginning of the 15th century, the bassinet had actually acquired a more acutely pointed form. 10 years later, both the skull of the helmet and the ingot visor started to become less angular and more rounded. By the middle of the 14th century, most knights were wearing fully visored bassinets. So the Hounskull, or pig-faced helmet, was the most common helmet worn in Europe during most of the 14th century and the first half of the 15th century, including during the 100 Years' War. But before the battlefield, they could actually lift it up to get more, to breathe better, and to have a look around and see where the enemies were, for example. All of this without the disadvantage of having to remove completely the helmet, which was basically the main problem of the great helm. Alright, so now I'm going to wear it for you. It is wearing time. So, as a helmet, I have to say that it gives pretty good feeling. The idea of being able to switch between good vision and complete full protection. Again, as a helmet, pretty good feeling, but I think that it's not too different from the feeling of the Great Helm, but maybe one of the things that really makes the difference is this. It really gives you the idea of, being able to breathe, have a look around, see how the situation is on the battlefield, and if needed, lock it up again.